Hello! Today I would like to welcome everyone for another story reading activity. And for today, I will be reading to you the book The Smartest Giant in Town. I know most of you would be loving this story. This is, by the way, written by Miss Julia Donaldson, and she's one of the famous children's story author. Okay? So for today, let me start by doing a warm-up activity, okay? Kids, are you ready to do the warm-up with me? I hope you're ready. So for today, I will just want you to put your hands in front and shake it like this. Come on, kids. I want you to shake your hands like this. Come on. Tickle your fingers. Tickle your fingers. Shake, 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 shake your hands. And then shake it to the side. And another side up and tickle it down. Okay, so I guess you're ready to read the story with me now. So kids, once more, the title of the story is The Smartest Giant in Town. So for today, I will let you meet one giant whose name is George. Are you ready to meet George? I hope so. So this is George. Okay. So George was a giant, the scrooviest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patch-up gown. Did you see George? I wish I wasn't the scroopiest giant in town, he said. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes. So he bought for himself a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt. Did you see the belt? A smart stripy tie, smart socks, and smart pair of shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said. So George wore the smart clothes that he bought. Look at him. He looks so smart, isn't he? So George left his old clothes behind in the shop, and he was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf," the giraffe said. "Cheer up," said George, and he took up his stripy tie. "It didn't match my socks anyway," he said, as he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf. "Thank you," said the giraffe. As George strode toward the homes, he sang to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." Without the scarf, does George look smart? George came to a river, and on a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. Did you see the goat? "It was my sail. It was blown away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail," said the goat. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his new white shirt. It kept coming untucked anyway, he said. Thank you, said the goat. And then again, George strode along the way, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a boat. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. Without the tie, without the shirt, does George look smart? George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood the mouse, with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. What's the matter? Said George. Look, what happened to the house? You're right. The little mouse house was burned by fire. And now there's nowhere for them to live. I wish we had a nice new house, said the mouse. Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. It was giving me blisters anyway. As the mouse and her babies scrambled inside, the shoe made a perfect home for them. Thank you, they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. Did you see George hopping along the way? And as he hopped along the way, he sang to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. Without the shoes, without the shirt, without the tie, does George look smart? And then again, George came to a campsite. And beside the tent stood a fox who was crying. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sleeping bag, said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag, the fox said. Cheer up, said George, and he took up one of his. Can you make a guess? What do you think George will give the fox to warm him up? And you're right. George gave off his socks so the fox could be warm. And along the way, George sang to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. Without the shirt, without the tie, without the shoes, without the socks, does George look smart? And then George come to a big squelchy bog, and beside the bog stood the dog, who was howling. What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe dry path. Do you think George could help the dog cross the bog? And what do you think George would give the dog so he could cross the bog? Can you make a guess? Cheer up, said George. You know what he gave off? He gave off his belt so the dog could cross the bog. Isn't George so kind to give up what he have? And again, the wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But look at him. You know what happened next? But my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. Without the tie, without the scarf, without the shirt, without the belt, without the shoes, without the socks, George felt so cold. And you know how it feels to be cold? He turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. But the shop was closed. Oh no, cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Then out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something inside. And you know what's inside? There he found his old gown and his old brown sandals. And he wear it on. I'm the coziest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back along the road. But you know what? Outside his front door stood all the animals that George had helped. And you know, they gave him a present. And you know what is the present? Those animals whom George helped gave him a crown. You know why? They crowned George as the kindest giant in town. Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. Anyone here to be like George? Anyone here to be one of the kindest kid in town? Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you like it. Bye!